All right, welcome everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. It's good to see all you here today. We'll be getting started in just a couple of minutes. And as usual, if you can go ahead and let me know that you can hear and see me okay, just go ahead and type that into the chat box. Yes, I can hear and see you okay. And once again, welcome, and we'll be getting started in just a couple of minutes here. Okay, so if you can hear and see me, go ahead and type yes in the chat box. I know you can't see me yet because I'm not standing in front of the camera, but you should be able to see me now. So please do that. I think most of you can hear and see me successfully. It looks like we're ready to get started. Also, if you will, go ahead and type into the chat box where you're from, your country. And if you're in the US, your country and your city, and what you do for a living. If you're a student, if you're a graduate student, please put that, okay? If you're a college student, put that. High school, put that. If your profession, okay? So if you're engineer, or doctor, scientist, whatever, accountant, please put that. That's very, very helpful for us to know, okay? So what I'd like for you to do, just a couple of logistics, is if you have questions, you should see an area that says add your question, add a question. So it's kind of our question and answer area. Go ahead and type your questions into the add a question or ask a question. Okay. Anything else can be put into the chat box. We ask that you don't just start chatting with people and typing random things into the chat box because it can be a little distracting for people who are paying attention. But what I would like for you to put into the chat box is where you're from and what you do for a living, and of course that you can hear and see me okay. All right. So let's just do that for now. If you have questions, again, put it in the ask or add a question. And I'm also going to ask you to do your best not to ask generic questions, because I'm going to direct you to our question and answer page on our website. So a generic question would be something like, I can't say O's, or I have a problem saying A's, or I have a problem saying my name. Those are generic questions and really cannot be answered in the time span that we have here. In fact, I'll just go ahead and let you know those kinds of questions. The answers to them is that you have to participate in a systematic process to change your way of speaking and your way of thinking. It's not like I can give you a trick or a tip. Now, there are some tools that you can learn, but you still have to practice them. So you need a systematic approach in order to change your ability or transform your ability to say certain letters and certain words. You can learn the tools and you can learn the techniques and strategies in a systematic approach. It's something you have to practice. So it wouldn't be helpful for me to give you a tip now because it probably just wouldn't work, or it only work temporarily. So I'm saying all of that to say that if you ask a generic question like that, we're just going to gently redirect you to our question and answer area on our website. Today, we are going to be talking about how you can stop anticipating the worst. How can you stop anticipating the worst? The worst of what? How can you stop anticipating that you're not going to perform well? How can you stop anticipating that you're actually going to get stuck, or that you're going to stutter or stammer, or that you're not going to sound as intelligent as you would like? How can you stop anticipating? How can you prevent yourself from anticipating? And then what can you do if you do begin to anticipate, right? So that's exactly what we're going to talk about today. All right. Let me just double check real quick just to make sure to see that everyone can hear and see me okay. So I'm just going to go over and check the chat box real quick. So give me just a moment. Okay, great. All right, so looks like we're all set. So let's talk about this. What are we talking about when we say anticipate, right? Anticipating the worst. Now you intuitively know what that means because we all probably do it sometimes. Some of you do it more than you'd like. What we're talking about specifically is when you have an event coming up or something that you're about to do. I'll give you a specific example. This is something that I hear all the time. You're going to get coffee, right? You're going to get coffee, right? Let's just talk about that specifically. But this could apply to you're going to order food or something like that. So you're going to get coffee. And as soon as you think about going to get coffee, you start anticipating, you start negatively anticipating, oh, they're going to ask me my name, or the kind of coffee I want, I always have problems saying it. Okay. So you start negatively anticipating as soon as you think about going to order coffee. All right. Now, so then you go and you get to the coffee shop. Let's just say that you do it anyway. You get to the coffee shop, and as you're standing in line, you start feeling more and more anxious because you just know that as you anticipate that you're going to struggle with this. And so you get up there, and let's just say your challenge is saying your name. So then you get up there, you make your order, and you just feel yourself, you feel the pressure building, and then they ask you your name, and you just get stuck. It doesn't come out. It's embarrassing. So you spell your name, you give another name or something like that. This happens all the time. This happens to people all the time. Or it could be that the kind of coffee you want, you just get, so you just, okay, I really want to get that coffee, but I'm going to get this. One lady that I work with, she said that there's a particular meal that she wanted to get. It might have been chicken or something like that. And she could never order chicken because she could never say it. So she would always order something that she really didn't want. Can you imagine that? For decades and decades, she didn't order the things that she wanted unless someone else ordered it for her. Of course, now she's able to order whatever she wants. In fact, I believe she's in her 70s now. So there are many people that struggle with simple things like that, like ordering food or giving their names, right? Even in a restaurant, they say, okay, well, can I have your name? Right? That kind of thing. There are other situations, such as you have a meeting that's coming up. And let's just say you're going to be in a meeting and you're sitting around a table and there's a bunch of new people there. And what happens? They go around the room and everyone has to do what? Introduce themselves. This could be in school. This could be at work. People are going around the room and they have to introduce themselves, so you know it's going to be your turn. So what happens? Well, first of all, even before the meeting, you begin to anticipate what's going to happen. You start negatively anticipating. You start thinking about it. You start feeling anxious. Some people have problems sleeping. I mean, they really experience full-on anxiety, sometimes fear of this event. So they go in and they're just really anxious about it. They're going around the table. You're thinking about it. You're hoping you don't get stuck. And you think about the last time you got stuck. So you're thinking about a way that you can say your name without getting stuck. And it comes around to you. You're already anxious. You're already nervous. And then you get stuck. Okay. Another situation, it's very common. You're at work and you know that you have to give an update. And it's your turn to give the update. So what happens? You start anticipating, okay, I got a meeting this morning. I know I'm going to have to speak. I'm going to have to give this update. And I know that sometimes I start off well, but then all of a sudden, as I start speaking, because I want to make a good impression because of the people that are there, I start getting a little anxious. I get distracted, start fumbling over my words, I start getting stuck on important words that I have to say. And then everything just spirals downhill from there. Does that ever happen to anyone, right? So there are lots and lots of these situations where you have these upcoming situations, things that are more social, like ordering coffee, going to a restaurant, giving your name, introducing. Then we have these more professional, more formal situations where you have a meeting and there are introductions, or you have a work-related meeting and it's more of a networking meeting and you have to introduce yourself, or you are sitting around the table and you have to give an update and you have to introduce yourself and give an update, right? So we have all these situations. Now, there are the micro situations where you begin anticipating words and letters that you might get stuck on. So you're in a conversation, let's say everything's going well, and all of a sudden, here comes this word or this letter that I have to say. So you start anticipating that you're going to get stuck. And sometimes it's almost subconscious. It's a feeling. It's not even a thought where you think, I'm going to get stuck on this word. It's just a sense that, ooh, here comes a letter, here comes a word that I'm going to have trouble saying. Just feel that, right? Has that ever happened to you? Just feel it. So today, I'm going to give you 4 solutions. Might give you a little more, might give you a little less. No, I'm not going to give you less, but I'll give you 4 solutions or 4 techniques that you can use immediately. And these 4 solutions or techniques can be applied to both social situations and professional situations, okay? 4 techniques or solutions that can be applied both. Now, there's one I'm going to give you that is more suited for professional situations, and I'll point that out to you. So you can apply these 4 techniques or solutions to both social and professional situations to help you to do a couple of things. One, to prevent negative anticipation, or to decrease and or diminish it, right? Decrease, diminish, in some ways, eliminate negative anticipation, okay? That's what these solutions are going to do. It's going to prevent you from consistently and consciously negatively anticipating a situation, or if you're in the situation, it's going to help you to diminish that, if not eliminate it. Now, the other thing that this will do, these techniques and solutions, is it will help you, it will give you what you need to develop the habit, right? So these solutions are actually habits that you can develop. And they're what we might call keystone or cornerstone habits. These are habits that can affect other habits that you develop, right? So the habit of using the solutions that I give you will also impact other areas of your life. And you'll see exactly what I'm talking about once I give these to you, okay? So I'm going to just switch over here a little bit so you can see my notepad, and just going to jot a couple of things down here for you. So the first solution that I want to give you has to do with just saying this, saying stop, then cancel. So you're going to say stop, cancel, and then you might say something like, this thought is not helpful. This thought is not helpful. Okay. All right. So the first thing that you might do when you begin to negatively anticipate. Now, here's the thing. We're all going to anticipate. We're all going to anticipate, right? It's either you're going to anticipate something positively or you're going to anticipate it negatively. But whenever you have a situation that's coming up, like for example, if it's a situation where something's happening important, like a meeting, presentation, you're going to anticipate it. Things like ordering coffee or ordering food, you eventually want to get to the point where you don't anticipate that at all. You just don't even think about it, right? But for now, let's just say you are anticipating. So then it's a matter of how you anticipate it. So one thing that you can do is, as soon as you start to negatively anticipate a situation, you simply say, stop, cancel. This thought is not helpful. Stop, cancel. This thought is not helpful. And the reason that this is important is when you say stop, cancel, what this is doing is it's something that we call a pattern interrupt, right? So there's a pattern of thinking that you and I have. We all have patterns of thinking in lots of different areas, right? So we have this pattern of thinking that when something is about to happen that we haven't had great experiences in the past, we begin to negatively anticipate. Our brain automatically goes back and looks at what's happened to us in the past. And if it was an emotionally significant event, then we re-experience that. Oh, I got stuck. I wasn't able to order this. I wasn't able to say that. I had trouble saying this. My boss was there, supervisors. I was kind of embarrassed, frustrated. So then we start thinking about that, bring that. That's all we think. I hope I don't do that. I hope this time I speak smoother. So we start next. So what we have to do is we have to interrupt. Watch this. You have to interrupt that pattern of thinking. So when you say stop, cancel, it's called a pattern interrupt, right? It stops you dead in the tracks. And you say, cancel, this thought is not helpful. Now, here's the thing. This is a process. It's not an event, right? What do I mean by that? What I mean is that when you use this pattern interrupt, it's not just something you do once, an event. It's a process. It's something that you may have to continue to do until it becomes a habit, meaning until you automatically just say, stop, cancel. That's not a helpful thought. That's not something that I need to be thinking. This thought is not helpful. Sometimes I have negative thoughts and I have to say, stop, cancel, keep stop, cancel, stop, cancel. And then it becomes a pattern. Then in that particular area, I stop thinking negatively, right? And there are other areas where it's just natural for you sometimes to think a little negative. So then you have to stop, cancel this thought, or that thought is not helpful. So that's one technique or solution that you can use. Is called a pattern interrupt. Stop, cancel. Remember, it's not a single event, meaning you don't just do it once. You do it continuously, repeatedly. You say it until finally that pattern of thought begins to reduce, it begins to subside. It may even be eliminated. It may leave. It may stop. Okay. Now, what else can you do? Well, once you say stop, cancel, what you want to do is you want to do something that we call split visualization or split positive anticipation. So split visualization, right? Or split positive anticipation. Okay? Split positive anticipation. So you're probably wondering, what the heck is split visual? I've heard of visualization. What's split visualization? What's split positive anticipation? So remember, for some events, you're going to anticipate it, right? You have an upcoming presentation. You have a meeting where the stakes are higher. You have to present some information. Your manager, supervisor, your colleagues are there. You want to impress them, right? There's nothing wrong with wanting to be impressive and to impress the people who are there. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. So one of the things that you want to do, and one of the things that's going to happen, is you're going to anticipate. You just want to anticipate it positively. So split visualization or split anticipation, split positive anticipation, is when you see yourself, you imagine yourself going into that situation. But here's where the split comes in. Usually people would say, well, you just visualize yourself doing it successfully. Well, when you split it, you actually visualize and you experience the anxiety, right? So if you know that you're going to feel anxious about it, you visualize, you experience it. You say, oh, okay, got this meeting. I'm feeling a little anxious. And you actually start to feel anxious. You feel it. But then you actually see yourself performing well. Okay. So the split is where you experience what you would naturally and realistically experience, was a bit of anxiety. But then you see yourself calming yourself down, saying whatever you need to say smoothly, and seeing the audience or the people who are there, if it's your college, seeing them nod and smile so you see the success. That's where the split is. What that does is that actually feels more realistic to you, because when you go to actually do that meeting, you may feel kind of anxious or a little nervous about it, or a lot anxious, a lot there. So you experience that, but you also experience success. Okay, that's the power of this. So it's split positive anticipation, because you're anticipating what will probably happen, your feelings, and you're also anticipating a positive outcome, a positive performance. Okay, split visualization, split positive anticipation. Okay, let's look at another one here, right? Let's just change the color up a little bit here. Let's look at another one. Something else that you can do is you can, there's one that I want to give you, and I think I want to give you that one last, but you can focus on Vic or Rick. Now, I know you're saying, who in the heck is Vic or Rick? So let me tell you who Vic and Rick is. Vic and Rick are very good friends, and they travel together almost all the time. Some of you heard me talk about this in the webinar in the Ultimate Smooth Speech System. And so I'll just briefly share this with you now. But if you want to go deeper in this, you're going to want to look at the Ultimate Smooth Speech System. And as a matter of fact, what I want to do is post something here for you. Okay, so who's Vic and Rick, and how does this apply to not negatively anticipating or anticipating the worst? So Vic stands for value, and the V stands for value, and the R in Rick stands for relevancy. So let me just explain what this means real quick. When you are in a situation, and I just talked to a coaching client about this yesterday, it's very, very powerful. Your purpose for being there is to make sure that you communicate whatever it is in a way that's clear, in a way that impacts the person. And you want to make sure that it has value for the person. Does that make sense? So whatever it is that you're saying, you want to make sure it's valuable to the other person. You also want to make sure it's relevant. That's where Rick comes in. It's relevant to the conversation. So if we're talking about going out to eat, but someone else starts talking about a project that they're working on, that's not relevant to the conversation. Where are we going to go to eat? Well, you know what, I'm working on this project, right? It's not relevant. So you want to make sure that whatever you're saying in the moment is relevant. You also want to make sure, and this is where this probably applies more to more formal conversations, professional conversations, that it's valuable. If you're giving a presentation, it's valuable to the other person. It's valuable information. So if you're giving an update, you want to make sure it's valuable to the people that you're updating. You don't just want to talk about stuff that has no meaning to them. That's not important. It needs to have value. Okay. Now, the I in both Vic and Rick stands for impact. And by impact, you want to make sure that you are engaging your listener. You're engaging the person or the people that you're talking to. And that's where your speaking style comes in, right? So you want to make sure that you are, for example, modeling, right? And if you don't know what modeling is, or you want to learn more about modeling, you're going to want to look at the Ultimate Smooth Speech System. We talk about modeling. It's something you've already done. It's how you learned your language in the first place. It's how the great masters in any field learn how to do what they do. They model someone else. So modeling is very natural. Now, You're in the situation, you want to impact and engage your listeners. So this is where your ability to speak smoothly, to speak with enthusiasm and excitement, body language, voice inflection, which many jobs actually require now. They want you to be able to speak with voice inflection, especially when you begin to move up into leadership. Why? Because they don't want people speaking in a monotonous manner where no one can understand them, okay? Or people can't understand them, but where people are just drifting off and not listening. They can understand it, they just don't want to listen. You don't want to speak so fast that people can't understand you, right? So you want to be able to impact the people that you are speaking to. You want to engage them. So you want to be thinking about, is this valuable? Am I engaging the person? Am I impacting them? And then finally, the C stands for clarity. And clarity is a combination of style and structure. When we talk about style, we're also talking about how I speak. Am I speaking clearly? Am I speaking too fast? Am I articulating, right? Is my volume high enough or low? Is it too high? Is it too low, right? So you need to be able to speak in a way where it's clear, and structurally, you want to make sure that the person is able to follow you, right? That they're able to actually follow what you're saying, or are you all over the place? So you need to be structured in how you're explaining whatever it is that you're saying. That's Vic and Rick. If you want more information, definitely you want to look inside the Ultimate Smooth Speech System. So this is important. All of these are important because they're what I call positive distractors. So if in a meeting or an update or a presentation that you're giving, or even in the interview, you're focused on Vic or Rick, then you're not going to be focused on, I hope I don't get stuck on this. I hope I perform well. I hope I sound intelligent. I really want to be impressive. I really want to impress these people. We do want to impress them, but if you focus on impressing them, chances are you're not going to. Chances are you're going to not perform as well as you could. But if you focus on the purpose of your conversation, which is to deliver relevant, value, impactful, and clear communication, then you'll accomplish your goal. Okay. So it's what we call positive distractor. So we've looked at 3 things so far. Number 1, leading up to and during the experience, you tell yourself, stop, cancel, thoughts not helpful. Split visualization is generally used before, right, leading up to. So the first one you can use before and during. The second one, pretty much you have to use before, right? You're not going to visualize while you're talking to someone necessarily. So the first one is something you can do before. This third one is something that you can do during, right? And eventually it becomes automatic. So as I'm speaking, I'm automatically thinking about value, automatically thinking about impact, automatically thinking about clarity. But initially, you may have to do this consciously, okay? You may have to do it consciously. So we're talking about focusing on Vic and Rick. Now, this fourth one is also very, very simple, and it has to do with just staying in the moment. And I'll give you some very, very specific examples. Staying in the moment. Now, what do we mean? What do we mean when we say staying in the moment? Okay. So what we mean here is, let's just say I'm going to use the food example, and then I'll use a meeting example real quick. So you're in the Starbucks or wherever it is that you're ordering coffee, and you started to anticipate, but you're saying stop, cancel. So something else that you can do is you can just be in the moment. You can just look around and say, look at that person. That's a very interesting outfit that they have on. I wonder what they do for a living. I wonder what the barista does for a living other than this, or is this all they do? Do they enjoy this? I wonder, are they going to school? Is this a second job? Is this their primary job? You just look around and be in the moment and just ask questions about the people and the things that are going on. Okay, look at that person over there working on their iPad. I wonder if they are if they have their own business, right? So you just start thinking about this. So you're in the moment. You put yourself in the moment. And then by the time you get up to place your order, boom, it's almost like a surprise. You haven't been anticipating that you're going to get stuck. Does that make sense? Same thing when you are in a meeting. You're there, you're in the meeting, you're looking around, you are thinking about what it is that you're going to say and how you're going to Vic or Rick it, right? You're thinking about it. You're thinking about the impact that you want to have. And that's what you're focused on. You're not focused on your hope that you don't get stuck and all this kind of stuff. Okay. So you're in the moment and you focus your thoughts on something that's happening now. Now, here's something else that you can do. This is actually a bonus. Let's just say you're in the moment and you say, stop, cancel, this thought isn't helpful. You can actually shift your thoughts to something else, to almost anything else. It could be a goal that you have. It could be a project that you're working on. It could be a problem that you're solving. You don't focus on the problem, you focus on the solution. So you can start thinking about solutions to a problem that you're working on. You can think about virtually anything else in that moment other than the fact that, oh, I might get stuck and I hope I don't get stuck. Does that make sense? So stop, cancel, shift your thinking to something else, anything else other than something negative. Okay. That's a bonus for you. Now, how can you take this and imprint it and make it permanent? All of us have watched videos, attended webinars, listened to audios, great information, stuff that can work for us. And maybe we used it once or twice, if at all, and then it was gone. So we watch a lot of videos, we listen to a lot of audio, we read a lot of books, and it makes us feel better. And it may have a temporary positive impact on us, but it's not permanent, it's not lasting. How can we make it permanent and lasting? Well, what you need are a couple of things. Number one, a systematic approach. You've heard me say this, a systematic approach. Why? Because a systematic approach will help you create and practice what we call a daily routine. And why is that important? Well, that's important because in order for you to start doing something that is to make a permanent imprint, you need to turn it into a habit and a skill. You need to habituate it, right? You need to habituate it because you can't consciously think of all these things all the time. You'll always default back to habit, right? So what you do is you change your habits, you create new habits, right? Or new skills. You always do what you've known, what you've learned. So you learn new skills, okay? So what you have to do is you need a systematic approach that gives you a daily routine that you can practice every day to turn what you've learned today into a new pattern and then a new habit of thinking and speaking. Does that make sense? That's right. So the other thing that you need is you need a systematic approach. You need consistency. So in order to make the systematic approach work, you need to be consistent. And then you need feedback. How do you know if what you're doing is right? So for those of you who are here who are professionals or professionally minded, and you want to accelerate the amount of time that it takes you to reach your speaking goals, only if you're ready to accept. If time is not an issue, and if you want to take 2 years to work on this, and some people, that's okay. I'll take 2 or 3 years, and it's fine. But if some of you want to take like 10% less than that or 20% less than, then you're going to want to seriously consider something like the Ultimate Smooth Speech System. I have seen that there have been clients that I've worked with, in fact, lots and lots of clients who've been working on their own for like a couple of years. And yes, their speech has improved, sometimes dramatically, but it's taken a couple of years. And then they come and they get into coaching or system, and it takes them 3 months, 2 or 3 years, or 2 or 3 months. Which one would you want? Why do you think people choose 3-day programs, 12-day, 3-week programs? Because if I, for example, say that I'm going to give you $100 today or $100 a year from now, all things being equal, which one would you choose? Give you $100 a day, $100 a year, you take $100 today, right? So if someone says, well, you can cure your speech, you can overcome stuttering or whatever it is, you can speak smoother in 3 days, Or you can do it in 3 months, like Michael Williams says. Which one are you going to choose? Well, some people say, well, I'm going to choose the 3 days or the 3 weeks. Let me just get this done. So they pay 2, 3 times as much. And guess what happens? They find out that their brains just don't work that way. Yes, they come out maybe speaking smoother for a little while, and then they revert back to habit. So I'm not saying these other programs don't work. What I'm saying is that unless you continue to do it and turn it into a pattern or habit, it's not going to stick. Your brain just won't change that way. It's not impossible, but it's nearly impossible. Trust me on this. So, what you want to do is you want to understand that the ultimate smooth speech system is, in fact, the fastest way. You're talking if you've been struggling with this for decades, a couple of decades, and you can transform your speech in a couple of months or a few months. Now, you still have to continue to work on it to turn it into a habit. But if you can actually go from wherever you are now to a brand new speaking style, brand new way of thinking within a few months, whew, that's fast, right? And it's permanent as long as you continue to work on it until it becomes a habit. Then you don't have to work on it anymore, right? So what I want to do is I want to introduce you to someone who has helped me actually in some areas of my life be focused and clear and consistent, right? And I'm a pretty focused guy. I'm pretty clear and I'm pretty consistent. But there were some areas where I wasn't as focused, wasn't as clear, and I wasn't being as consistent as I could be. So Tom, and most of you have seen Tom before, and Tom's going to come talk to us how you can take this information, right, which is works. This information works. I've taught it to people for years and years, used it myself. It absolutely works. He's going to come and share with you how you can take it and be more focused with it, be more clear with it, and be more consistent with it so you can imprint it and actually be able to implement it in your life. Otherwise, this is almost a big waste of time. Just watching a webinar, that's great. But if you're a professional, you're professionally minded, you're going to want to make this a permanent part of your life, something that so you don't anticipate, or if you do anticipate, you have the tools to do something about it. The people that work with us are people who they might anticipate, sometimes we all do, but then they feel confident because they say, you know what? The tools that I learned from the Ultimate Smooth Speech System has given me the confidence that I need where I can go out and do whatever I want to do, and I know that I'll be able to accomplish it. So give me just a moment. I'm going to invite Tom on. So if you just will hang in there with me. If you have questions, now's a great time to think of them and put them in the question box. Let me just go invite Tom on, and Tom's going to tell us how to do that. All right, Tom, I'm going to be inviting you on screen here. Hopefully you'll need to go ahead and accept. And should be coming in just a couple of moments. So while Tom is coming on, let me just check the questions here. I know you can't see me. I don't want to change my video just yet. Okay, so yeah, I'll definitely get to these questions in just a few minutes. Tom, let me know if you're having any problems coming on, and we'll just continue. So one of the things that I wanted to make sure that you guys know about, there's a button just beneath my video where you can click and get information on the Ultimate Smooth Speech System. So for those of you who you have been struggling, you've been struggling with your speech, and you've been working on your own out there, you've been either working through my program or someone else's program, and you're finding that you're not as consistent as you like to be. You find that you need feedback, that you need accountability. Accountability is what helps you be consistent, right? Helps you show up long enough to turn what you're learning into a habit. That's what it does. That's what the coaching does. That's what the Ultimate Smooth Speech System does. If you're professionally minded and you want to accelerate the process, that is, you have some goals that are coming up soon. You want to get promoted. You want to get a better job. You're about to graduate and you want to get a job, right? Or you want to be able to do presentations. You want to be able to speak up in meetings. You want to be able to do the things that you've been struggling to do for years now. And you want to get it done as quickly as possible, right? Now, this isn't something that happens fast, but 2 or 3 months is actually pretty fast if you think about it, right? If you really think about it, it's fast. Then you're going to want to invest some time and money into the Ultimate Smooth Speech System. Now, the good thing about this system is that it includes a couple of things that are just pure self-studies don't. It includes coaching. That's where you get your accountability from. That accountability helps you be consistent. It includes feedback, right? You can't get that by yourself. So if you want and need accountability so that you can be more consistent, you can stick with it, and you need feedback, which can save you months or years. Again, I've seen people take 10 times as long working on their own. They come to me and boom, in a few months, they're up at a level that they never reached by themselves. The time is going to pass anyway. It is. It's just going to pass anyway. So I want you to think about, what was life like for you 3 months ago? How was your speech? What things were you not able to do that you wanted to do? What things, what areas, which situations were you struggling in 3 months ago? And then how are things for you now? Are they pretty much the same? Are they better? Are they a little better? Are they worse? Right? So if you continue to do whatever you're doing now, and if things are pretty much the same as they were 3 months from now, then what's 3 months ago, then what's going to happen 3 months from now, 90 days from now, if you continue to do pretty much the same thing, which most of us do, right? We pretty much continue to do the same things we're doing now because it's habit. How's life going to be for you 3 months from now? That time's going to pass. 90 days is going to pass anyway. The only question is, are you going to do something different that's going to take you off on a different trajectory? Okay. That's the question that you have to ask. So the only thing that you need to ask yourself is, do you trust me? Do you trust this process? The process is based on science. We have a doctor. He's a fetal physician, and he's an expert in his field in South Africa. And he's a brilliant guy, a lot of energy. We love him to death. And we have another young lady. She's an engineer from India. And we've just seen tremendous change in just maybe less than a couple of months with them in the Ultimate Smooth Speech System. And the doctor was just talking about how he has to do presentations. He does radio interviews with hundreds of thousands of people. He does presentations in front of people. He teaches classes. And he's just completely immersed himself in this process. And he said he looked at the system. He's familiar with the science, right? He's one doctor. There's another doctor I did an interview with, Dr. Vanke. You'll see his interview on YouTube and on our web. And both of these guys said, familiar with the science, looked at your system, solid, based on real science that I know is true, I know has worked, and I chose your system. They didn't need to be in the system for a long time. They didn't need to just, well, I'm not sure if this is work. Well, let me give this a try. No, I'm a doctor. I'm looking for facts. I'm looking for something that's scientifically based. This does it, and boom, they're getting results. They've gotten results, right? So if you are professionally minded, and you want to take this information and turn it into practice, then we want to encourage you to take that step and get into the Ultimate Smooth Speech System, which has a coaching component. We meet once a week, minimally 2 times. We've been meeting every week, right? But we promise you at least twice a month. We're going to meet as many weeks as we possibly can. So you actually get to see me and Tom, and you get feedback, and you get to practice, and it accelerates your progress. Okay. Now, some of you who are not ready, then you may want to take a look at our basic smooth speech system. Some of you, your speech may be at a point where you really want and need private coaching. But we want you to set up an appointment with us, an assessment session, so we can say, hey, we think you're going to benefit most from the ultimate smooth speech system. Start with that first. Don't do the coaching cost 3 times as much, but sometimes that's what people need or what they want. If we have availability, then you can do that. Otherwise, we're going to tell you ultimate smooth speech system. Others of you who you're just not sure, we don't want you to invest that much money if you're not sure, because and when you come into the session with us, that's not a time for us to convince, persuade, or sell you on the system. The system works. We know it. We're not going to try to sell you. We want you to try it out for yourself and just be convinced already when you come talk to us. Then it's just a matter of which one is best for you. Okay. So some of you are just going to want to go ahead and try the basic because you're just not sure yet. All right. Does that make sense? So we have something for everyone, but the thing we recommend for those of you who are professionals and you want to accelerate your progress, go ahead, check out the Ultimate Smooth Speech System. We believe all of your questions will be answered there. And if they're not, then go ahead and set up an appointment. The doctor that I was telling you about in South Africa didn't set up an appointment. He looked at it, registered, boom, awesome. Just doing an amazing job. We just love him to death. Same thing with the engineer. Now you're saying, well, okay, what does this have to do with putting into practice what we've learned today? Everything. Everything. Why? Well, it goes back to those points that I told you about. It's all about accountability, which equals consistency, right? And feedback. It's about taking what you've learned. For example, stop, cancel. This thought's not helpful. Split visualization. Focus on Vic and Rick. Staying in the moment. All of these things are practices that you want to turn into habits. And in order to turn them into habits, you need to actually practice. That is, repeat the thoughts, repeat the behaviors, get out there. That you need to have the tools that make you feel comfortable enough to actually get out and talk to people and go to interviews or go order coffee or introduce yourself. You want to have the tools at your disposal when you're doing this so that you feel more confident. If you feel more confident, you'll continue to get out there. You'll have more practice opportunities. You want to be able to do that. And if you do that systematically day after day, well, guess what happens? It turns into a habit, right? Without that consistency, without that comprehensive approach, giving you all the tools, we deal with the psychological aspect and the physiological aspect of speech. You don't have to stutter. It could just be that you speak too fast. It could just be that you want to improve your ability to communicate more smoothly and clearly. Or it could be that you stutter or stammer severely, right? So again, we don't want you to think this program is just for people who stutter. It could be mild, it could be situational, it could be severe. The systematic approach works, and that's what you need. You want something that's based on science, not something that's just based on someone's experience. Not something that's just based on science, but hasn't been actually implemented in real life, right? Our ultimate smooth speech system is a combination of science, of my personal experience, of my experience with clients just like you. So we know that it works because we have hundreds and hundreds of people that have used it, and it's been working for them for not just 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, working for them for years. Now, are there people who come in, do a couple of months, a few months, and then stop, and then they revert back, they regress? Absolutely. That happens in any program. I don't care who it is or what they say. You're going to have people regress because they're not going to continue doing whatever they. But what we're doing is we're building a community of people, providing you resources, and we're helping you focus on the fact that this needs to become a habit. So we have a much higher success rate and longevity rate than most other programs because we help you understand, we build your expectations to know this is all about habits. It's all about habits. So let me see if Tom is, he must have had some problems getting in, unfortunately. And yeah, it doesn't look like, yeah, it looks like he probably was not able to get in. He lost his internet connection. So I'm going to switch my video and answer some questions for you. And hopefully you'll be able to see me okay. Okay. Let me answer some questions for you. We've got 8 questions. And there's one question here where a person says they've observed themselves and they stammer on letters A and O. So that's one of those generic or general questions that we want to direct you to our question and answer. So Myra, if you can put that link up there so that we can go ahead and provide the answers to such questions like that. Okay. Let me just see what other questions we have here. All right. Connecting. So let's look at some other questions that we might have here. You can find answers there, right? Say that a modeling video of yours, if I already have the first 3 minutes memorized, and the next time I model that video, should I go over the part that I already have memorized, or should I start where I left off? Okay, so someone here is asking a question about a modeling video, and what they are referring to is a part of the Ultimate Smooth Speech or basic system, and they're practicing modeling, and they're just asking if they've memorized a few minutes, should they keep going over the same thing or go on? And I would say if you have mastered that part, and if you have looked at voice inflection, body language, and all those kinds of things, then you're going to want to go ahead and move on to another video, perhaps, or to the rest of that video. Often people like to move on to another video. So just because you've gone over something over and over doesn't mean that you've mastered. When I say mastered, it doesn't have to be 100%, but you want to make sure that you've got the voice inflection, facial expressions, hand gestures, and all those things. And that will be very, very helpful for you. Okay, so I hope I answered that question. If you've done it and you feel like you've mastered it, then you can either add to it or move on to another video. All right. Someone says they stutter in specific alphabets. That's one of those general questions. So you're going to want to take a look at the question and answers. I read and listen to a lot of information in English, but your speaking is so bad. But my speaking is so bad, and I keep my natural accent. What's the key to deliver better? So while this program isn't really designed to help change your accent, it is designed to help you speak clearer. So what you want to do is just like anything else, you want to practice speaking clear. How can you do that? Modeling. If you model someone else and you speak in a similar way as they do, well, guess what happens to your own speech? You begin to speak clearer and smoother in the way that they do. So you're going to want to create a modeling routine and follow that, not just in private, but also in public. And that routine is actually given to you in our courses, right? In our basic self-study or our ultimate self-study. Okay. So I hope that that was helpful for you. Let's see if there's other questions that I can answer. All right. Someone asked, "Hi, Michael. When I do my affirmations, something is saying over me that this is not true. An internal barrier comes over me. What can I do about it?" Great question. So part of the program is affirmations. It's not the entire part, but it is a part of it, doing affirmations. And you will experience resistance, right? You'll experience people saying, or not people, but you'll experience yourself, right? It sounds like people in your head saying, "That's not true. That's not going to work." When that happens, you just keep doing the affirmations. Now, this happened to me for about 6 months. I kept feeling resistance, but as the months went on, the resistance decreased. That little voice that was resisting just about disappeared. Now, it didn't mean my speech was where I wanted it, but I didn't have the resistance working against me. Prior to that, I had the voice. The voice was telling me, "This is not going to work. This is stupid," right? So that's very natural. And it's very good that you're feeling the resistance, because if you didn't experience it, then you wouldn't have your subconscious, right? Your brain wouldn't have anything to resist against. So the fact that it's resisting means that you are creating a new pattern. Okay. So the answer to that is keep doing it. Keep doing it. And it'll start to reduce, diminish, and disappear. Sometimes I speak fast and well, but another time I speak hardly the words. All right. So the vast majority of the people that I work with, one of the things they have to do is learn how to relax, slow down, and speak more clearly, right? So slowing your speech down isn't easy. It's very challenging. It's something that you've been doing probably for quite a while. So what you're going to want to do is you are going to want to learn how to slow down your speech. And the way that you do that is by consistently practicing speaking slower every day, every time you speak. It's a systematic approach. Remember, I've talked for quite a while about having a systematic approach. Also, it's about having accountability, someone to just keep reminding you, slow down, slow down. Why do you think people pay me thousands of dollars? It's because this is important to them, and I help hold them accountable to do the things that we know is going to make them an excellent and superior speaker. One of those things is slowing their speech down. So speaking fast also might be triggered by anxiousness or by the situation. And what you'll need to do is remind yourself every time you speak, slow down. Just slow down. You don't have to rush. Slow down every time you speak. Okay? If you need help with that, take a look at our Ultimate Smooth Speech System. All right. Selected go. Okay, so Tom said he's here. Let's see, Tom. Selected go. Let me see if I can invite you again. Appeared on screen. Accepting and connecting. All right, Tom, try it again. Okay, give that a try. Okay, I'm going to invite you again. Yes, invite Tom. And hopefully I can see where you're accepting and we're able to get you on.
Yay!
There. All right, I'm going to mute myself. So.
Hey, everyone. The beauty of technology, huh? I've been here the whole time. I'm like, hey, dude. I've been clicking yes and saving and doing all this stuff, accepting and joining. But yeah, that's just the marvels of technology, right? Good to meet everyone here. It's a joy to be with you. I know my 15 minutes is now 4, so I'm going to do the best I can to put this as concisely as possible and still be a useful attribute to the call here. As Michael said, my name is Tom Harrison. I am super excited, honored, and delighted to work with Michael and this community of professionals, and as he said, professionally minded people. And I notice there's several engineers in the group. Welcome. Good for you to be here. And I know you are professionally minded, and I hope there's many more here who are. Because we see professionals and people who are professionally minded as those who are truly determined. They take their speech, their work, their life to the next level. And as I'm sure you all want to do, use your smooth speech to make a positive difference in the world. So as Michael alluded to, my work is about purpose. My enterprise is called Walk Your Why, and my work is to inspire and guide professionals and the professionally minded to put purpose first, to really make their why their paramount priority. So I'd like to talk a little bit about how to start anticipating the best. So the title of this webinar was how to stop anticipating the worst. So let's turn our attention a little bit to start anticipating the best, what I consider the purposeful path ahead of smooth speech, confident work, a calm, enjoyable life. I like to look at 3 areas. The painful path of the past, and Michael spoke to this, and you've all experienced it. We don't need to go into that too deep. The purposeful path of the future, which I hope you're all very much looking forward to, and I'm pretty sure that's why you're on this call on a deep level. And the third point, which is the point of decision that opens the way to your path of purpose. I like to call it my personal why way, like highway, but my why way to a wonderful life. So first tell me, and it's somewhat of a rhetorical question, but if you could take a moment to type it into the chat box, that would be awesome. And I know Michael asked this question at the beginning, who are you, where are you from, what do you do for a living? And I want to ask more specifically, are you, those of you on this call, a professional, or do you see yourself as professionally minded? So as I mentioned, I noticed a couple of people said they're an engineer, student of engineering. So it's clear you are professionally minded. So I'd love to hear from some others. And we won't take the time to look at that right now, but just for you, put it in there if you would. And if you could, also include the profession, or let's just think about this, the profession you're currently working in and or the profession you're preparing for. So if you're an engineer, you're presumably preparing for a profession in engineering, right? But there might be something particular that you want to go into. And or the profession you would want to have if you were really anticipating the best, if you were really anticipating your own purpose path that lies ahead. And now I have another question. What is your version of the painful path of the past? So like I said, we'll breeze through this. You know what it is for you, but I'll put a few things out there in case it's necessary to trigger your memory. For example, have you ever had a bad interview where you just can't express yourself smoothly? Have you ever had the inability to communicate ideas in a team meeting? Maybe you just can't get started. Have you ever given up on a job promotion because of your speech? Maybe you don't even try because you anticipate the worst. Have you ever missed out on important conversations? And maybe that's a fear of getting stuck on your name when introducing yourself. As Michael alluded to, have you ever not been able to order your favorite food or drink because you get stuck on the very words you need to say? Has anxiety simply taken over when you have something important to say? I could go on and on about the pain of the past, but let's not. What I really want to know, this is for something for you to think about, and feel free to put in the chat. What is your version of the purposeful path of the future? So you're here now, right? This is part of your purposeful path, I would suggest. I hope each of you has a vision of what that path looks like in the future. Is it that particular engineering job? Knowing that your speech is an asset in getting that job, as opposed to one maybe not quite what you wanted because your speech is not quite where it needs to be? Maybe it's simply wanting to order that food whenever you want it. Knowing you never have to settle for tea when you want coffee, or coffee when you want tea, or anything like that. Maybe you simply want to be able to not only participate in team meetings, but lead them. So confident, calm, and clear that you are really seen and heard as the leader you want to be. And again, I could go on and on with this. We each have our vision of the next level in our lives, in our profession, in our work. What do you see for yourself? And this, I hope you spend a lot of time on. Because I'd love to see you spending far less time in the past, which, let's face it, you're working with your speech, the past seems to keep repeating itself. And we want to transcend that with your purpose path. So please come up with as many ways as you can, not just right now, but after this call and every day moving forward, come up with as many ways as you can that smooth speech will help put you on your purpose path. Because I know you, each and every one of you, have the purpose of smooth, calm, confident speech. And I know you have a purpose beyond that. There's a reason, if not many, that you want to have smooth, calm, confident speech. So again, let me ask, is this moment your point of decision that opens the way to that path of purpose? In other words, is this the moment that you take bold action to attain smooth, calm, confident speech as soon as possible? And if not, why not? Is it the cost? Reflect on that for a moment. How much has it cost to not take bold, consistent action? Most of us on this call have struggled with speech for not hours or even days, not weeks or even months, but more like years, and for some, closer to decades. For some, it's been a lifetime. And here we are now, still aspiring to smooth, calm, confident speech, each in our own way, each on our own level. But think about that. What has been the cost up to now? And we tend to think of cost in terms of money, but what is money but time invested well? So just think about that. And I'd like to make it really simple and really personal. Ask yourself, where was your life, your work, your speech 90 days ago? And where would your life and your work be 90 days from now with smooth, calm, confident speech? If you like the idea of getting to your next level in the next 90 days, you know what you need to do. Michael's spoken to it. We call it the ultimate smooth speech system. And I won't go into the details because Michael's spoken to it. You have access to it. I'm way over time because I wasn't preparing for a few minutes. So thank you if you stuck with me. And I do want to mention one more thing that Michael didn't touch on yet, and I'm trusting it's okay that I do. Any of you who happen to find yourself in San Jose, California at the end of October, or want to find yourself there, we'd love you to join us live in person at our first Ultimate Smooth Speech live intensive to either jumpstart your way to smooth speech if you have not yet joined the Ultimate Smooth Speech system by that time, but I hope you won't wait, or to accelerate your way to smoother, calmer, more confident speech if you're already in the Ultimate Smooth Speech System community. So thanks, guys. Thanks for bearing with me. Sorry we went over time. I'm sorry the technology didn't pan out the way we'd like, but hey, that's part of the deal. Great to be with you. And Michael, is there anything you feel like I should point out that I didn't because I kind of rushed through that?
No, thank you so much for including the little blurb about the live event, though. I wasn't sure that we were ready to talk, but we booked the room, so thank you. No, I'm glad. I'm glad you did. Yeah, and we're really excited about this. Is the first live event that we've done. I've done probably hundreds of live events in other industries and other things that I've done in my life, but this is the first one that Tom and I will be doing together, the first one that Pro 90D has done. So we are really excited. We want you to look for our emails on this, and we want you to be there because it's going to be life-changing for all of us. And we're not just saying that, but we know it's going to be transformational. So thank you, Tom. The link is there. I've sent you an email already. You'll get some follow-up emails giving you the replay to this. If you're watching on YouTube, then what you're going to want to do is visit our website, pro90d.com, and there's plenty of links there that talk about Ultimate Smooth Speech. Just click on the link and check this out. This is your very best chance for being able to achieve and do the things that you want to do. We're so excited when we do our coaching calls because we see people just transforming their lives, doing stuff. I talked about Dr. Ismail, right? And there's so many other people that we can talk to. The thing that we want you to know before we wrap up is understanding your why is so very important because it helps keep you focused. It helps keep you clear. It keeps you motivated. It keeps you encouraged, right? And you understand why I'm doing this. And we find that when people have a why, such as they want to serve other people, right? When it's a profound why that they want to improve the quality of lives of those around us, those are the people that tend to do better in this. Not just the people that want to stop stuttering or want to improve their speech because it's a pain or it's frustrating. People who actually want to use their speech to make the world better, right? Those are the people that do better. So we want to encourage you to hook up with us if you are ready to accelerate. You're going to the next level. Accelerate going to the next level. That's when you want to join Ultimate Smooth Speech or private coaching, is when you're ready to accelerate. If time's not an issue, then you can do the self-study and it'll probably take you a year or 2 years at least, right? You're ready to accelerate it. You're professionally minded. Get in touch with us now. We have openings. We're ready to go. We also want to see you this fall. Okay. Tom, anything else?
It's a beautiful wrap up, Michael.
All right. Thank you all so much. And we look forward to seeing you inside the Ultimate Smooth Speech, and we'll see you next time. Oh, also, I got to send you guys a link to our podcast. Call it Michael's Private Podcast. Tom's going to be on there too. But if you haven't already subscribed, again, go to my website, pro90d.com, and you'll see links there to subscribe. I'll also send you another email right now with a link to subscribe to the private podcast. That's what you're going to get those every week. And that's a way for you to stay motivated, stay encouraged, and so forth. Okay? Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, everyone. Take care.
And before we go, I'm just sending you all this email, the private podcast. Here's the link to the private podcast. So before you hang up, let me just give you this link real quick while we're on the call. This will take me a moment. And there it is. All right, just sent you guys an email.
Thanks, everyone, for the feedback you gave. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you for that. And yeah. Okay, we'll see you next time.
Take care.